Herbalife Nutrition leaders around the world. Welcome to the first in a series of conversations that focus on insights from top distributors and the company on the importance of recruiting and activation. Our purpose is to nourish the potential in everyone to create a healthier future. One way our leadership is doing this is by creating a balanced organization of business builders and long-term customers. Recruiting and activation is foundational, and we want to make sure it gets a special focus today and in the future. As we start to going back to in-person events again, we thought it would be important to start a discussion on what Herbalife Nutrition distributors do best: talk to people and build new teams. Who better to inspire and learn from today than two of our great leaders, our fantastic leaders, our #1 distributor in the world and Founders Circle member, Susan Peterson, and Chairman's Club member, Alan Rodríguez. Susan and Alan, thanks so much for being here today.
Well, Rob, thank you so much. You know, it's really, really amazing to be here at our first in-person extravaganza in 3 years. The energy here today is just electric.
I am super excited to be here, and you know, for me, it's a huge honor to be here with none other than the #1 distributor in the world, but also one of the people that made a huge impact in our business. She showed us the principle that has been fundamental in our growth, which is first line.
It's my honor to be here with you two. So let's start with the basics, the why.
Okay, well, you know, going back to the basics has always been what works for me. You know, you want to keep it simple. I learned with tell, show, try, and do. And one of the things that I've seen recently is that people understand tell, show, try, do, but what they do is they just tell. They stop at tell. And, you know, if you want to build an organization, if you want to build a royalty check and build a strong, solid business, you've got to be doing whatever yourself, okay? So you're going to tell what you're doing. You're going to show others how you do it. You're going to help them while they're trying it and keep helping them until they can do it. And that has been a basic that has just worked again and again. And one thing that I found is, you know, just like we were joking around earlier about first line. The reason I say that all the time and have said it is because that's the one thing that you can actually do. I can't make you get going with your business. I can't make anybody. But what I can do is what I need to do. And if everybody focuses on that, then what happens is others see that, and then it becomes infectious. And that's really how this works. And, you know, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of people sort of stopped doing what was working, and maybe they got in management mode. I don't know. I mean, I've been there before, so it's easy for me to say maybe they got in management mode. You just have to sit down and decide, you know, are you going to run your day, or is the day going to run you? And that was a great principle that I learned early on.
I couldn't agree more with you, Susan. I think that the fundamentals are key in this business. It has been what got us here so far. You know, using the product because they work and talking to people is always going to push us forward. Now, one of the things that I see that in the last 2 years, you know, we've gone through so much, the pandemic, and I feel that we all, as leadership, we all got a little bit comfortable, right? We weren't doing the actions that maybe we were doing in the past to get us to the point that we are today. And the reality is that it is impossible to build a business without recruiting. So I feel it's time. It's time to get uncomfortable. It's time to go back out there in the marketplace and work like brand new distributors. Like, we have to recruit to build a business. Yes, we have to retain, but it's important that we understand that sometimes we lose distributors. And it's okay. It's not our fault. It's not because of us that they leave. And whatever is gone is gone. The question is, what are we going to do about it? So it's taking more products, having a better energy, having a better attitude, creating the events, doing everything that we need to do to push our business forward. And of course, never forgetting first line.
That's great. That's great advice for everybody. And by the way, it's a basic tenet of leadership that people will do what you do not what you say they should do.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's exactly what you guys are talking about. So great advice. Obviously, we're coming out of it. You just mentioned we're coming out of the pandemic. And it seems to me, based on all the sort of situation out there with the economy and people needing better health and getting it out, it just seems to me that now is an interesting time, but people maybe, as you said, are sitting back a little. What should they do?
The last 2 years have been, very interesting, not to say the least. And I think that it has mostly been people's minds that have been challenged. A lot of people are trying to understand what is wrong with them. And the reality is that there's nothing wrong with us. There's a lot of things happening out there in the marketplace. There's inflation. There's things that we need to combat. But I feel that the energy needs to be channeled in one direction, which is building our business, right? There are plenty of people out there to talk to, and we have to focus on looking for those key players that are going to build our business. And like I mentioned before, there's some people that are gone and are gone. Hopefully, we can save them. Hopefully, we can bring them back to Herbalife because we know we have the solution to a lot of the issues that are happening out there in the world. But if they're not willing to, then what is our duty? What is our responsibility? It's going out there and creating new business. That's the only thing that we can control in our businesses.
Like a lot of people, they start out and they treat their business like a hobby. And if you treat it like a hobby, then your rewards are like a hobby. You have to treat it like a business. This is a real business. And, what we do, we actually change people's lives. And, this is what we do for a living. This is not what we do for a hobby. And, many times people, they want to recruit, but they're scared. I mean, I remember when I first was getting going, I was just terrified that somebody would say no. Well, guess what? They said no. And then somebody else said no. But you know what? I learned that if you get enough no's, you're going to get a yes. And so I would start to count the no's. Okay, I've gotten 9 no's. So I know my yes is around the corner. And you know what? I got great people by just waiting for that yes, and I got to where learning that no didn't necessarily mean no. Sometimes no meant right now. Sometimes no meant maybe later. So it was okay. When I got a no, I never closed the door on that person. I always said, listen, if things change and you're interested, here's my number, or I'm doing this, give me a call. I'd love to help you. I'd love to teach you. And so I think, we need to kind of get back to teaching people in the field that this is reality. This is how it is, and it's not a bad thing. This is just normal. But who said it best was Mark Hughes. He said, those that do the work get the pay. And if you don't do the work, if you let your teams, or you're expecting your teams to do the work, they'll be paid, but it won't be paid to you. And you just have to recognize that.
By the way, I've heard hundreds of your trainings, and one of the principles that I always was impressed with was, to employ yourself, and that's what you're talking about. I looked at my next question here, okay, and it has to do with obstacles. And of course, it brings me back to the Mark Hughes-ism, right? Because nothing was a problem. And nothing's a problem, okay? So how do you guys deal with obstacles?
One of the main things is, as a leader, adaptability is key. And we have to evolve, right? We have to evolve. We have to understand the marketplace today. We've been through a pandemic, and the pandemic changed the world. Unfortunately, there's different markets which can do, different things. But like Susan said, there's markets today where we're still able to do the things that we were doing before the pandemic, and people are not doing it because they're staying in their comfort zone. So I feel that, as a leader, it's our responsibility to start creating. And yeah, volume is great and all of that, but people first, and then the volume will follow. So I'm not going to say, let's go back and talk to 10 people in the street because, even in some markets today, that's not possible. But the point is, do the best you can with what you have today, and that will start to slowly push our businesses forward.
Fantastic. And Susan, obstacles, how do you deal with them?
Well, I think that, you've got to start with recreating your testimonial. It's something that's really essential, and learning to tell your story in an impactful way, that's probably one of the most important keys. But I've got to tell you, when you talk about obstacles, You know, I think about like when I got started in this business, it was a recession. And, you know, I hear all kinds of things. Oh, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do that because of this obstacle or this problem or this challenge. You know, it's like this, Rob. Everything in life is like a coin. There's two sides to the coin. One side is the challenge and the other side is the answer. I just think that this is the greatest opportunity ever.
Yeah, and listen, in Herbalife, what I've noticed in my many years here is that during, like, when we have our strategy meetings and our chairman's club meetings, we talked about this all the time. We're problem solvers, right?
Yes.
So we're just problem solvers, and that's how we approach everything. And that's what we learned from Mark Hughes, whether you knew him personally or you know, like us, or whether you learned his philosophies. So you mentioned something that's really important, Susan, which is we have this Founder Circle and Chairman's Club committee right now on recruiting and activation.
Yes.
Okay, and so you guys you've been helping us sort of identify those things that can help our viewers. Okay, and so the first priority is to update and distribute guidelines on income and lifestyle claims. Tell us about that.
Our main focus is newer distributors coming in, understanding that they need to have the confidence. And I know that there's a little confusion out in the marketplace about the things that we could do or we can't do. And our job here is to make sure that we instill the confidence. And even from the leadership standpoint, we need to start giving our new distributors all of the tools that they need in order to start growing their business. And that's why even going back to our in-person events is important, because look, I wouldn't have been where I am today if we didn't have the in-person events coming into this community. I was clueless. I wasn't in nutrition business. I wasn't in sales. I used to run a store. That's about it. And coming into Herbalife, knowing that there was a structure there for me and learning that all I had to do was bring in as many first lines as possible. And at the beginning, until I developed the skills, there was something created that I can plug my distributors in and they can be a part of, you know, this amazing community and grow their business, obtaining all the knowledge that is out there for them. So I feel that, you know, that is one aspect, us creating the tools and everything that the new distributors need, but at the same time is taking on the leadership, like taking on the role of a leader and taking charge of your organization, and you as an individual or independent distributor actually creating tools for them so that they can learn more of the products, learn more of the marketing plan, have that confidence that they need to really go out and take their business to the next level.
As far as the leadership part goes, you know, we need to all step up. We all need to remember what it was that helped us to get where we are, and we need to reach down and help people get to where they want to be. And what I mean by that is, you know, going to the in-person trainings, to the live trainings, going to the STS, the LDW, the extravaganza, whatever it might be, that is so important. But one thing that I learned is that when you come back from an event or a training, even if it's an organization training, you go and you sit down, you look at your notes, and you gather your people together about 2 or 3 days later, and you make sure that everybody is 100% clear on what was discussed.
By the way, you both mentioned in-person events, and listen, we learned a lot in the last 2 years. It wasn't like all bad. It was good. We learned a lot of things about how to communicate virtually, okay? But, you know, I have to say, with the in-person events, one of the things that's important about those is the culture of Herbalife, the side discussions. It's not what happens on the stage. It's what happens, you know, in the buses, in the cars, at the dinners, and we're experiencing that right now at this extravaganza. So it's super exciting and super important. We want to make it easy for every distributor to use, retain, and repeat within their organizations. So give us some advice there.
So I see that, you know, that's definitely something that is happening right now, and you know, I think it's a big problem. I think that people are sitting down and they're relying on their president's team member or their uplines to actually do the things for them. And the reality is, like Susan said, once you sponsor somebody in Herbalife, a distributor in Herbalife, you are responsible for that person. You're responsible for creating the space where they can come in and they can grow. I love including all of our top producers, all of our top recruiters in all of this, because these are the people doing the deal right now, and we need to learn from all, we all need to learn from all of them, right? Because business evolves, there's always new things coming out, and we need to be in the forefront. We should all be in the forefront, right? So, for example, Fabi and I, the minute we started coming out of this, out of the pandemic, we're like, okay, the leadership is asking for in-person events, but nobody's taking the step to do it. Okay, we're going to take the step to do it. And then, of course, people followed. And do I have to do it? Well, I don't know. The point is, I know I want my business to grow, and if I want my business to grow, I have to be doing what I need to be doing. Same thing, we're starting new distributor workshops, working like if we were a supervisor, like new distributor. We know that we need new distributors in order for our business to grow. And not to say that we weren't doing it, because we were, but now we're doing it even more intentional, right? Because we know today, 42 years are in the past, but we can determine what the next 42 years can look like in this company today. And that is where we need to make our decision and really take our business serious. Don't rely on somebody else to build our business. Like Susan said, we have to take ownership of it.
And I just want to add, I'm excited that you're going to have in this series different top people talking about how they're doing the different recruiting. I would really invite everybody that's watching this right now to make sure that what you do is you pay attention to each person, each method. You write it down, you learn it, you practice it, you become good at it, because I learned a long time ago that the more tools I had in my tool belt, okay, the more skills or skill sets I had, didn't matter what kind of person I was talking with or helping, there was always something that I had that I could show them that could work for them. Maybe they needed a combination of things. Maybe they only needed one. Maybe they needed all of them. I don't know. It didn't matter. But if I didn't have that, if I didn't know how to do it, then it really would have been a problem. And so, it's okay when you get started with learning a new technique from somebody. It's okay to not be great at it, but it's not okay to not try it. It's just because in this business, you can't talk to somebody about doing something that you don't know anything about. It's, I guess you could, but you're not really going to be successful. It's much better to try and fail and try again and fail again and try again and try again until you get it going. Because if you do it enough, it is going to actually work for you. Obviously, you don't do the same thing that you did wrong again and again. Okay, that's crazy. But you find out what you needed to tweak and you do it. And then what you need to tweak and you do it. It's just a series of continuing to work on it and get better and better, and it's going to work.
You two are some of the top checks in the entire company. And, I've known you for 28 years, okay? I've just known you for 28 years, okay? And I've known you for 10, okay? And one of the things I really respect about you is you always listen. And this was a Mark Hughesism. He always liked to hear new ideas, new thoughts, because you never know where you're going to learn something, okay? So that's why it's so important to hear from these people. And it's just... your organization's going to be hearing about this stuff too anyway, so you need to know, as leaders of your organization, you need to know about that. So just to recap, get back to basics, stay flexible, plan to evolve your business strategy, and look for opportunity everywhere. On our side, we're hard at work developing easy to find and use tools so distributors know exactly how to present the business opportunity. Just to summarize the company's commitment, we're updating and simplifying guidelines for you to confidently share your story and launching new guide on how to share earnings. We're collecting best practices, as we talked about, from the top recruiters around the world to share with you. We're working on new business opportunity video and videos and materials with the regions around the world. We're making sure that at every event, and you guys have been encouraging this, recruiting and activation is a training topic, and we want to make sure you're doing the same at all your local events. Each region will have tools created based on their leadership and the company that fits their specific needs. Once again, what an honor for me personally, as always, but thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your insights with the folks watching the video today.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Susan, for all your wisdom throughout this year's.
Appreciate that. And listen, I just want to say, Alan, thanks for being up here with me today. I love having you be here, and of course having you, Rob. But honestly, I think I could speak for most distributors. We're very, very happy and very grateful about the partnership that we have with the company, the fact that the company does things to help us build our business. And, you know, we really appreciate that, and honestly, we're just very blessed. Thank you so much, and thanks for having us here today.
And we're just getting started.
Just getting started.
Just getting started.